Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Xinfin Network, aka XDC. So let's just dive in and let's talk about a few things. So first off, we have been talking to you guys about XDC for a very long time, and the reason for that is because a lot of these tokens that are solving these critical pain points within a lot of these major expensive markets are going to be the ones that succeed. Trade finance is a very expensive market because, there's a lot of things that bottleneck the system. There's a lot of, challenges within the system as well. And it has to do with, the lack of digitization within this area. And I think that this thread from Molly Elmore 22 on Twitter, like I said, you guys should definitely go check her out. She has been gaining some traction on Twitter lately as well. I think she gained like over 600 or so followers in just the last few days. And it definitely is well deserved because she does do incredible threads that have a ton of information in them. But here we have, a few things. So, will blockchain tech revolutionize the global supply chain? The current system for shipping products around the globe needs an upgrade, and blockchain tech is the ideal solution to many of the issues. I've always said that guess what? The supply chain, aka trade finance, is ripe for disruption. And here we have down here trade finance. Will blockchain revolutionize supply chain? So there's a few issues. Here are the current system challenges. Manual processing of invoices makes keeping track difficult, so fraud is common, same invoice paid multiple times. Delays in supply chain due to waiting for people to complete manual steps like approvals, confirmations, and other automatable, tasks. And of course, correspondent banks, middlemen are needed to support the exchange of funds and this adds additional expense, steps, and time to process. Now, where does XDC play a role here? Well, first off, we do see two primary issues trade finance: digitizing the documents, contracts, loan paperwork, customs docs, and then streamlining financing, funding used in supply chain to pay parties involved. Used as a settlement for bonds, letters of credit, insurance, smart contracts, and loan collateral, eliminates nostril accounts, allows private transaction data with public, confirmation around transactions, can connect smart contracts on different blockchains interoperable, minimizes fraud and miscommunication that creates additional expense. Now, currently, the global trade finance ecosystem is worth about $5.2 trillion. The gap between this is worth 17 to 20 trillion. It's a very hard area to really kind of guesstimate, but that's around like what I've seen for the average. So it is still a very large market. Now we do see down here, it's expensive to ship products, from one side to the other in regards to actual global shipping. The trade finance industry enables businesses to ship products, but requires tedious paperwork, approvals, contracts, and also funds to make that happen. The process used now has been in place for ages. It uses paper documents, old school banking methods, and is subjected to fraud, human error, miscommunication, and inefficiency. When a widget is shipped from country A to B, the shipper doesn't use cash to pay for everything involved, they use credit. This means there are banks involved, applications, contracts, and other paperwork that are part of the loan process. Remember, when we talk about this is all cross-border flows. Even if, when you're shipping something, it is a cross-border flow. So it is going to be pretty expensive as well. You're going to see, percentages tacked on in regards to fees. All of those fees, those FX rates, are going to be, getting back into the intermediaries' hands that are, really kind of being a monopoly middleman at this point around some of these systems. Hence why we look at digitization really kind of disrupting the core process of some of these workflows. And we do see down here the widget also is passed along by various businesses in the supply chain and likely crosses international borders, which means customs paperwork. Each time a new contract or agreement is needed, a person has to create this paperwork, get necessary approvals to keep track of the orders. Unfortunately, it is common for the same invoice to be paid multiple times. Error, fraud, miscommunication is also a problem, and lengthy delays can happen when someone who has to approve something isn't around. It's a system in need of a makeover. How would blockchain, play a role? Well, to start, the volume of documents could be digitized, which makes electronic approvals an option. This also saves tons of paper and also allows the documents to be shared online. Next, blockchain tech would make the system measurable. And this is where you do see, digitization being a pivotal role here. So first off, paper documents aren't easily turned into data sets that can be measured, but with the electronic documents, that is seamless. Once the parties involved can measure the supply chain, it is easier to continually improve. The banking system that finances trade uses a series of middlemen banks called correspondent banks. They enable financial transactions, but anytime a third party is involved, it adds more time and expense, which I just told you guys. So when we look at XDC, it cuts out all of that. It digitizes the entire workflow. It gets rid of all of those, extremely high costs, making this entire workflow, this entire system a lot cheaper, a lot faster, and it is fully reducing the friction, the fraud, and inefficiency around this entire massive giant of a market. Hence why I say it is ripe for disruption. And things are moving pretty quickly around this. Over here from Trade Tech, their CFO, has a quote here. The case for real asset-backed crypto remains strong. And 100%, like this is the big thing that they are working on in regards to trade finance with Xinfin. Comments on the evolution of trade finance as an asset class in Euro money, and our work with Xinfin to tokenize assets for a wider investor pool. And this is working fairly well. We actually do see over here traded tokens available on Xinfin's official's XDC network overcomes trade finance barriers to create access for retail and institutional investors. As the preferred network for the token issuance, TradeTech offers further validation of the XDC network's real-world utility, and this really kind of confirms where Xinfin is positioned. It's not here, for your typical use cases around, NFTs and the metaverse and this and that. Even though, yes, they still do have a metaverse being built out on Xinfin. Yep, that's right. MetaBlocks is a huge area to focus on as well, but that is not their focus point. Their main focus has always been trade finance. And I do think that this quote from Anders on Twitter is perfect. And Xinfin is mostly focused on trade finance. I bet they saw the writings on the wall. And here you have, again, some 80 to 90% of the world trade relies on trade finance, trade credit, and insurance/guarantees, mostly of a short-term nature. And it is a very bottlenecked system, ripe for disruption. And this is going to be centered around not only the retail area, but also institutional investors. Remember, even a lot of those enterprise grade, customers too will be utilizing this entire flow. This, you love to see it. And I really do think that everyone should be focused on trade tech as well as trade finance, specifically around Xinfin, because, XDC is extremely overlooked. I've always said this since day one. Like, it is probably one of the most overlooked ISO gems to date in this market. And also, when you go over to their website, you have to go through a little bit of a prompt, but we do see the traded token own the real economy. Traded token is the first trade finance-backed security token allowing you to invest in real-world assets, and yes, you can invest now if you wanted to, but they do break this fully down. Like, they even talk about a few things within this. Powered by TradeTech and the XDC network, traded token will unlock the value presently inaccessible to private investors inherent in trade assets. We do see over here they do talk a little bit about this. It aims to make trade finance available to everyone. By purchasing traded token, you can play your role in bringing funding to small and medium-sized businesses around the world. And we also do see the ecosystem here. It is built out on the XDC network and powered by TradeTech and the XDC network. Like, XDC is the big name behind this, and this is going to be pretty large. And it is not just limited to banks. There's a lot more around this. And honestly, like, when we look at trade finance, like, it is going to be such a huge area to focus on. And we actually do see over here, like, tokens dramatically increase liquidity and open the market to a much broader range of investors without sacrificing regulatory compliance. Security tokens offered by Liechtenstein-based companies such as XDC Tech are a financial instrument, and they are being offered in a highly compliant way or format and within an extremely strong regulatory environment. And yeah, this is the big thing. Like, this is backed by real assets supporting global commerce, and it is built on XDC, utilizing XDC as the settlement token. Like, that's why we do see, like, over here, used as settlement. Like, that's going to be the big use case here for XDC. It's going to be the settlement giant around trade finance. It has always been that since day one. And also, we do see over here, shout out to CryptoNerd D, XDC trade stream transforming trade finance processing through technology. And we actually do see them discussing this a little bit. So, transforming trade finance processing through technology by digitizing trade finance controls. Banks can better address money laundering and help SMEs seize exciting international business opportunities. And this is from Ernst & Young, their website. And we do see over here, when you look at the overall D&I initiative, this is through ITFA. You do see at the bottom here, Casterman Advisory, Trade Advisory Network, and Sullivan. And then you do see the tokenization infrastructure, XDC. Again, XDC is utilized for settlement there. Document processing, you do see TradeStream. And there is a few other names here as well, like that are pretty significant. But like this is why we are focused on some of these major connections. Like things are happening rapidly. Digitization, tokenization, it is the thing right now. Like you need to be keeping a close eye out on these terms around specific markets like trade finance, because this is all going to be pushed through Xinfin. Like Xinfin is becoming the trade finance giant, and I've said this time and time again that a lot of individuals will just continue to overlook this token simply because it doesn't have the flashy use cases like everyone is, used to seeing in crypto. And also, last but not least, I want to wrap this video up with this tweet from CryptoKJ2. He does post a screenshot from LinkedIn. This is from ITFA, and we do see like a few of the major names here. This is from Portal ITFA 2022 through the 7th and 9th of September. This is the 48th Annual International Trade and Forfeiting Conference. Here you guys have Andre Casterman, who is a big name behind, Xinfin, as well as like Trade Tech. You also do see, a Trade Tech founder up here. But when we look here, right, so I think that I could actually get this image. Let me see if I could open this image up in a better, so I actually can't zoom in, sorry. I do apologize, but we could read it. So collaboration is, or at its best, this is what members of the trade industry's leading fintech community will be showcasing in Porto. Facilitating fintech collaboration with our, core FI membership and scaling market adoption have been our priorities, says, Andre Casterman. Again, pivotal player behind Xinfin. And we do see down here, like, they are talking about digital assets and how they can help expand trade distribution and negotiable instruments, go digital, how corporate, treasury platforms expand into trade financing, and of course, how data technologies support ESG strategies. And then last but not least, down here, we do see a few major names. So you do see Xinfin, a member of the TFDI, says in Porto, we will be showcasing our first real-world asset-backed tokens called Trada, which will be launched in July by TradeTech and on the Xinfin network. This marks the start of a comprehensive real DeFi ecosystem linked to the XDC network. And there's going to be a large amount of names here. I mean, like, you really kind of look at some of them up here, but I'm very excited for this. I think that anyone that is an XDC holder should be paying attention to this event. Definitely be there for it, because I think that it is going to be something significant. There's going to be a lot of information there, and I think that this is going to be the start of something incredible. Trade a token playing a pivotal role in the digitization, and I think that this is monumental for Xinfin as well, because this is the first of its kind in regards to a fully backed finance token. And I really do think that when we look at XDC and when we look at trade finance, it is the perfect player to disrupt this market. Like, this market is so ripe for disruption. It is bottlenecked. It is very inefficient. Similar to a lot of like the payment flows in this market, like a lot of the markets that we are going after, industries, etc., like cross-border payments. We look at like the banking sector, like all of those are great, but they are going to take a substantial amount of time. Something like trade finance needs to be disrupted as soon as possible because of the lack of digitization. Like, this is a very, very legacy market and industry that needs digitization now. So I do believe that this could happen pretty quickly. I would say like within the next 3 to 5 years, we will see trade finance being fully digitized by something like Xinfin, and I'm very excited for that. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. It's been Nick. Peace out, guys.